Trucking right, I heard a dark voice beside of me, and I looked round in a state of fright. I saw four faces, one mad, a brother from the gutter. They looked me up and down the face and turned to each other.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Pair of Kings podcast. I'm your host, Saul Thompson. You can find me on Instagram at Saul Thompson. I'm joined this week not only by my wonderful co-host.
I'm Michael Smith. You can find me on Instagram at @_Smithstagram.
And it's occurring to me that I haven't gotten any of your Instagram handles, so I will not introduce you personally, but we'll go down the line. Victoria, do you want to start? Introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Victoria. Instagram handle is at SincerelyVM.
I'm Brandon Fogarty, co-founder and creative director of Commune. My Instagram handle is Childish Brandino.
Nice.
I'm Martin. Instagram handle at NerfMartin.
Yep. And the three of them together form Commune, which is the store we're currently sitting in.
Mm-hmm.
A portion of the store, a portion of what Commune is. Mm-hmm. Fair enough. Commune is currently doing a pop-up in New York.
92 Orchard Street on the Lower East Side.
He's plugging it for us. We don't even have to say anything.
We'll do a little plugging, you know. By the time you hear this episode, there will be 2 weeks left of it.
By the time you see it, there's probably going to be 1 or 1.5 weeks left, because I will try and get this out as soon as possible.
We'll figure that all out. But yeah, come by, see what's happening. A lot of cool people, friends of the pod in here.
So it's interesting because on the first episode of the podcast of this season, I was bemoaning the fact that there weren't many stores left in New York that were doing or having a focus on smaller creatives, smaller brands, doing interesting stuff, and weren't necessarily just selling Fear of God essentials, or what are the other big ones? I'm blanking. Hellstar. Rude, right? But now there is a dedicated space on Orchard Street, which is really cool, that's stocking not only friends of the podcast, which I guess we'll touch on later, but people I've never heard of personally. But it's all stuff that's exciting and cool, and it's fun to see small creators, even people who collect, have a space and have a storefront, and it feels legitimate. It's not a Depop shop. It's not stumbling across it through an Instagram ad. It's brick and mortar. It's in the city, and it's really cool.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. I think the main reason that we are here is because someone heard us bemoaning that and was like, oh, by the way, this thing's happening. You should check it out. So that's really good. Can you, I guess before we really launch into this, can you sort of give me a brief rundown of what each of your like respective roles here is, or like what the sort of like, what we're all doing here?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Give us a little rundown on Commune.
At this point, I don't even know how many we have. We have so many. I think that just goes to show like what our team is sort of like. We're all either fresh out of college or still in school, and that makes it so not everyone can fully dedicate their entire lives to it, which means we need a lot of part-time help. We need a lot of help from our friends. The space is built on collaboration, whether that's with like Ariana, who stocks her archive back there, or just a friend who's willing to help carry a couch in. I think like that's sort of like it goes that entire way. I guess more about myself. I am a co-founder. Really, I think one of the first people to come up with the idea, but that idea is so lost now because with every person that we bring on into the team, their values and perspective becomes part of Commune. I think I make it sound like that first idea was very cool, but it was like, let's open a store that we actually like. And that's all it really is.
Absolutely.
So I'm the creative director, also like graphic designer. I think the genesis of it started with Martin and I, but I mean, things didn't actually start like happening. We would have like weekly meetings where we just hop on Zoom because I was in Boston and he's in New York. And we just talk about like, wouldn't this be cool? Like, how cool would this be if we did that? And then finally, Martin's girlfriend Leah came on and was like, she went through all of our documents because we took notes for like those meetings we had, and was like, you guys just keep saying the same thing every week and like nothing gets done. It's like cool ideas, but like let's try to make it move forward. So without Leah, things wouldn't have started moving forward. And then with the addition of Vic also being on us, like giving us more structures to turn these ideas into reality. But speaking more to like what I do is I create any like visual manifestation of Commune either begins or is like run through me. And then I do like all the Instagram graphics, all the YouTube graphics. I think like YouTube, like storyboards, other things like for like production wise, like how things are gonna look. Visual manifestations like go through me basically.
Cool.
Yeah, so I forgot to introduce like what my role was before, but I'm the events director and kind of like the co-ops lead with Martin's girlfriend Leah. I like kind of like have been talking to Martin about Commune for like the last like year. Like we met through school, and like I like didn't like formally join till like earlier this summer because he's been like bugging me to join for like the last year. And like every time we like hung out, he was like, "Yo, you gotta join Commune." And I was like, "Yeah, I'll join." And then he like never like followed up about it. So like like in June or like around like the beginning of the summer, like he was like, "Okay, like you're gonna join Commune." And then I like didn't initially join just to like do events. I like had honestly no idea what I was like getting into. He was kind of just
thought
like,
you were gonna be a writer.
My background is more in like, I'm like a researcher and like writer background in like journalism, and like he wanted me to help with like the YouTube script, so we would talk a lot about like YouTube and stuff like that because we were more like media based kind of like at that point in the summer. And like he was like, "Yeah, you can like help us like with one of our other team members, like Matt, like who also like helps with YouTube." He was like, "You can help with YouTube," and I was like, "Cool." And then I just started doing events. And because like earlier in the summer, we were thinking about the opening. And like at that point, we were like, you know, kind of finalizing like our brand list and stuff like that, finishing outreach. And like we realized like, oh, we need to like do events. Like, and like I was just like, I have like a background in like PR and like event management. And like I kind of just like took on the events. And like now I'm just like the event director and like just help Leah with other like logistical operational stuff. They always like joke about how like we're like the backbone of Commune.
It's not a joke.
It's real. It's real.
Yeah, it's real. Like I said, it was like a bunch of loose ideas until like we had structure come in, and then within that structure, I feel like we were able to like flow forward.
Every conversation I think I've had with any of you has sort of focused on this like community idea, I guess, which I do want to talk about, but there's something that we have forgotten to start with, which I realized the second I asked an actual question, which is that we need to get a fit check from all 5 of us.
Oh my god.
So we'll start with.
I can start. Sure.
You can show how it's done.
So I'm wearing a pair of R.M. Williams boots, a pair of socks that were given to me by a friend, some very old
Are those
Levi's.
Louis Vuitton socks?
No, they're fake.
Those fake Louis Vuitton socks?
Yeah, they don't have the Louis Vuitton monogram.
So tight.
Yeah. A pair of Levi's that were worn by somebody who is really short, so the heel bite's horrendous, and then I wear them and I'm tall and I think it's funny. I'm wearing a vintage t-shirt with a coelacanth, which is one of my favorite fish, and then I honestly don't know what I'm wearing. I took this from a rack right over there.
He was cold.
I was a little bit cold. I also think it's really cool. So what am I wearing?
You are wearing a Atriact brown blazer from Anermis, a brand that's based in Asia.
Awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, it's really cool. Gives me like
The talk show host.
yeah, talk show host, weatherman and Dime Square type shit. No, I really enjoy it. Victoria, you wanna?
All right. Yeah, I'm wearing some heeled Andy combat boots. Got a few years ago. Wearing a silk Rick fishtail skirt. And then I'm just wearing vintage like turtleneck top I got in like Paris like a couple summers ago.
I thought
Nice.
this was the like textures of those match so well. I really thought you were wearing a dress.
Oh really?
Like
I
they-
actually get that a lot. Like every time I wear like a top and skirt combo, which is like 90% of the time, someone's like, "I love your dress," and I'm like, "Thanks, but it's not a dress."
Yeah, I don't know. Like the sheen of them is like nearly identical
Yeah.
from here.
Yeah,
Cool.
Build your own
Thank you.
dress.
yeah.
I'm wearing, from bottom up, a cold wall Converse, like boots. These have been beaten to the ground, and like if you see the laces, they just don't even work.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
It-
plastic is cracking.
Yeah, it takes me so
Oh, they're
long to get them
Those are
on in the morning.
I had no idea Coldwell made Converse, and also I had no idea Converse collabs could look that cool.
There's also
Yeah.
the ongoing trouble with a Converse collab, which Converse will then take whatever the designer has done
And
for
then-
them and
yeah.
then keep doing it without
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
I don't know if
Sorry.
they did it with the cold wall boots, but
Interrupted.
I assume so.
I don't know. And then I have these Professor E. It's called like the E pant from I think spring 22. Because every season Professor E comes out with like a new E pant, and you just don't know. They're just all the E pant, so you can't tell the
But
difference.
they're all different.
They're all different. It's
Okay,
like very
cool.
different designs
Yeah,
too.
I love that kind of. Yeah, that's how clothing should be made. You should be confused.
It's very like iterative. And then I have a belt on that I got from like a street fair in London, an Our Legacy T-shirt I also got in London, and then I'm wearing what you can pick up in store is this black merle collarless jacket, which I feel like I've been talking for a while about what I'm wearing, but the fabric in here is made with selected like threads that the black merle designer picks out himself and then has woven in a very specific way. So if you like get very close to it, you'll see it's like there's like this really subtle texture to it when you come up close. And then there's also like these different detailing on the cuffs that show off like the layering if you use multiple pieces together, which is how black merle is supposed to be worn. It's in this like layering way, the way that they layer like the different yarns within it. And then I have a class ring on from high school and a commune ring.
Nice. I can picture myself being like, ah, shit, I don't want to go into work today. It's thread picking day. Like, I don't. All that fucking thread to sort through, man.
What would casual Friday look like at Commune? Somebody showing up in like basketball shorts and like a ratty tank top?
I mean, for the Rick wearers, that's kind of what
Yeah,
it's every day.
Yeah,
My
it sounds
first
like
day
the
at
Rick
commune-
uniform.
For the party I was in basketball shorts.
Oh, you were
And
wearing
a-
the nun cap.
Yeah,
I
and a
remember
picture,
this. Okay.
a shirt with Rick getting boinked by a horse on it.
Okay.
Nice.
Yep.
Martin, you want to?
Yeah, I have Jacob Is it Hetzer or Hetzler? Jacob Hetzer?
I think it's Hetzer.
I think it's
Hetzer? Yeah,
I believe
Jacob
so.
Hetzer loafers on, pants from Comaware, and then a tank top from Acne Studios, which is somewhere I never expected to buy anything
Yeah.
from. It was a gift, so I guess I didn't buy it, but I actually quite like it. I've worn it all summer, and yeah, I never thought I'd like it.
I would not have expected that to be acne. It flows so well with the rest of the not acne stuff. that you
Exactly.
wear. Yeah.
That's basically how I feel about it.
I really like the like armor looking design on these Comaware pants. Those are
Yeah, I
cool.
think it's the one detail that makes me really like them because I think they're really comfortable, but I think all pants should be. At least that's how I feel. So I think it's always the smaller details that really make it. Like the Professor E pants, for example, I feel the same way.
Which Professor E pants?
The fall winter 22 E pant.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, good. Just checking. 'Cause Not sure about that spring summer 22.
Don't get me started on
Don't
fall
get me
winter
started
20.
on
It's-
Professor.
Can't
E
believe what he
pants,
was
man.
doing. What was he on?
What was Professor?
What was he
E
doing?
I meant to go. That's a Taiwanese based brand, right?
Correct.
I was in Taiwan and I meant to go to their store, but they're only open like
On the weekends, I'm pretty sure.
the weekends and like starting at 3 p.m. Like you really gotta want to go, and it like didn't time with anything I was doing, so I missed that opportunity. But
Yeah, what I've heard is that store, like behind it, is also the studio that they work out of. So the hours they're open are essentially like the pattern maker becomes the sales associate for those hours because their team is so small.
Got it.
And that's like their sort of like physical engagement with everybody else like locally, but they got to keep working. That's what I've heard.
that makes it way cooler. I like that more. Yeah.
No, I like that.
I'll finish this off real quick. I am wearing Rick Owens Bozo boots, fall winter 19 Rick Owens joggers with the little leather panels and the denim pockets that I'm on my like 100th repair of. And you can see like the stitching along the pockets. They're stitched very close to the edge of the denim, and the denim's not finished, so it frays, and then the pocket just pops off, and you stitch it back on, and then happens again.
Nice.
So that's these. They also used to be waxed, and now they're disgusting.
So in a couple of hundred wears, you're just not going to have pockets, right? They're like slowly shrinking.
We'll see. I got these pants for free because my friend owned them, and he ripped them from like knee to gooch.
Okay. Yeah.
And am I allowed to say gooch?
Yeah, I think so.
Podcast, I say what I want. And then he gave them to me for free, and all I had to do was just like pay to get them repaired.
Yeah.
So, and then I'm wearing a Dylan tank top because it's very hot, and I'm wearing armors because I got cold. So that's me.
Yeah.
Cool shit.
Did you have a question that you were going to jump into before we did the fit check?
I
Not to put
did,
you on the
and you
spot.
know what? It's gone.
I think we were talking about YouTube before that.
Oh, and well, actually, I am actually curious. I didn't know you guys had a YouTube.
Neither did I.
And this sort of leads into a larger thing, which is that Commune is more than just this store. Commune is sort of a larger idea and a little less like concrete. And I would like to hear like each of you sort of tell me what that means.
I think each of us would probably have a different answer for that, because I think the media that we make has affected each of us differently, but also I think we have different goals for that, not in a bad way, but more, I think growing up like with the internet, like we've seen sort of the power it can have.
Absolutely.
And I think, at least for me, I think the way I visualize the way our media can work is, if we're going to have a physical space for designers that nobody knows, what happens when the space becomes a point of discovery? What happens when they go home? How do we make that discovery like continue when they go home? Like, I didn't learn about fashion in school. I learned about it on YouTube, whether that was like through like the vloggers I may have watched, or like a simple video on like what a top stitch meant. And I have this like very distinct memory of walking into Dover Street Ginza in Tokyo when I was like 12 or 13 years old, and like seeing Craig Green for the first time and being like, what is this? And I think that is, and being able to go home and research it is what we're hoping like our media can be, but we also want it to be more at the same time. And I think Vic can talk about that more too.
Talking about research, it's a small detail, but something that I really like is on the tags, it's not just what the thing is. There's, I think, a small, more elaborate description, maybe even a little bit of writing about the brand. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it is nice.
Like everyone sort of puts a little.
It's
like,
handwritten too,
Yeah.
which is a nice touch. It shows that like somebody has chosen this for the store. It's
Yeah.
not just like getting tossed onto a rack.
It's called the team notes, and we put it as the first thing on the tag above like what it even is, how much it costs, as like a hierarchical way of processing the garment, which I've always loved. I always find myself falling in love with the garment before I even find out the price tag, and I'm like, shit. Now I need to justify this purchase. But what that is like, it's a team note. So we have our teammate members basically write a little bit about what they love about it, or a little something that's enticing about it. One of them just says like, you just got to try it on. A lot of Jordan stuff.
This is how I know about this, because at the opening you were telling me about like your note says you just have to try it on.
And that's also part of the shopping experience that we want to give at Commune is like, our associates are really helpful and really knowledgeable, but the way I like to shop is I just like to explore on my own. But I do like to learn a bit more. So to have that built into this tag system where it's like, I don't really want to talk to an associate right now, but I want to know a little bit more, I can find it out on the tag.
It's like discovering music. You don't want to admit that somebody else put you onto it. It's like, I found this organically.
No, I don't have any influences outside of myself. I'm just kind of doing my own thing.
Yeah.
Sort of in a bubble.
Yeah, where to start with like what Commune is like media and store wise. I feel like our like media presence and like our store, like we want those two identities to really be like complementary and like symbiotic with one another. I think when Martin like first approached me about like the project, what he like actually like originally asked me to be like the editorial director, because at first we were like leaning more towards like a written based format, text, but then we were like thinking about it and we were like, well, I feel like no one like really like reads like journalism these days. Like I kind of feel like fashion journalism is like dead. Oh, it's like, but like I just feel like
We'll bleep it, it's fine.
you know, but like I think that, you know, this like research approach that, you know, we take to like our YouTube and like kind of like deep diving about like a designer's history, like what are their influences, like how does it connect, you know, to like the larger ecosystem of the fashion industry. I think that, you know, that was like what we wanted to bring. And we were thinking about, you know, like the medium for it. And we were like, I think like YouTube just like works better because it just like a lot more people, you know, like engage with video. You know, I think that like with our YouTube and like with both our TikTok as well, like, you know, they kind of like function as complements to one another too. So we kind of like found a way to, you know, utilize like all of our media channels to kind of like complement one another. And I think it's like super cool because like the way like Martin always talks about it is like the TikTok is kind of like that, like, I guess like to bring the parallel of like the price tag back in of like, that's kind of like the price tag entry, you know, in discovering like a certain brand, like looking at like the short form and then like going to the YouTube to like look at the long form that we have, you know, as kind of like a resource, like an educational resource, I think, for designers. And I think that like we just like wanted that to extend, you know, into our space too, with the tags and like, you know, with like down even to the detail of like just having a conversation, you know, with our associates. Like I think it's super cool to see how like everyone has kind of like gotten invested in like different brands like in their own like ways. And I think that like even just like the outreach process is such like an exploratory process too. And I think like, for instance, like one of our accessories designers, like Ben Greco, like I like followed him on like Instagram for like a while, and like I didn't realize he was like the boyfriend of like this girl Valentina that I like knew from like this vintage store, The Break. And then I was like, oh, Martin, like this is such a cool brand. And like now we have him like on our brand list. And like now I like got to like meet him like through that. And like at the press party that we had, like I was like talking to both of them and I was like, oh my God, like that's so weird. I like met both of you in like completely different contexts. And I think like, yeah, like that education, you know, about like different designers and that like exploratory like ethos, I think is like what we're really all about.
And just to tag on to that as well is that those videos also live on our website while you're shopping the brand. You can't shop online yet. That is a bigger deal for us, like down the line. But you can view all of our product on our website right now, and right next to it, while you're like looking into the pieces, is a write-up on the brand, and then like if we have a video on it, it'll be right next to it. So we don't present any product without kind of an explanation.
Small aside, I think this is our first like large multi-person podcast, and that is my first just to tag on to that, and it feels really good. Like the like classic like interviewing multiple people thing.
Oh yeah.
Never had that. It's good. Glad to be here.
It's a good setup too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's you know, I mean, you guys all sort of work off of each other, and I think that's, you know, talking to all of you separately, I think you were always like referencing something that like someone else has talked about. Like you're all like very like communal.
So speaking about the store as it is currently is one thing. I was talking to Brandon before the podcast started, and he mentioned that this is sort of a dry run for either a larger space or sort of the next step for Commune. What, I guess, individually or as a group, do you have in mind for the next step? What does it look like? What are things that you're looking forward to doing? And is that going to be just in New York? Do you want to go overseas? You know, where and when and how do you see this expanding?
I think we have a lot of different next steps, and I don't want to. That sounds like a cop out, but it's mostly because this was such an unknown for all of us. To be quite frank, like we all lack a lot of retail experience to begin with, and we lacked content making experience to begin with. Also, we're just sort of learning along the way. I think what we've always wanted as a team, most uniformly, is a permanent space to be able to have this space of discovery, the space of learning, the space to interact with all this clothes and designers be that permanent. And from there, I mean, we've had a lot of other ideas of what we could do, like whether it's following the whole like ALD cafe idea and like having something like that, but in our own
Please don't.
way.
Well, I mean, not ALD.
Make the coffee good if you're gonna do it. Please.
Chairs out front. You've had this like cafe set up out front, and every time I've come by, there's been like people just hanging out there.
That's what we love about it,
Yeah.
though, because we will have like old Chinese grandmas sit here at like 11 a.m. after their grocery run, but we'll also have like people like neighbors who just want to read and smoke a cigarette outside, and it's become like communal space, like on the exterior of our space.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
there's so many. We consider maybe a showroom. We consider like opening another store with like a different feeling. I mean, it's endless, and I think Brandon also has like a ton of those.
Yeah. One thing that really struck me just while we were here for the opening party is how young the space was. And even in people that were coming in and coming out, it did feel like everybody was excited. They were walking around and looking at the clothes. I've been to other fashion week events. I've been to other fashion events, and sometimes there are people there just to be there, get a photo, and then leave. But it was a very nice atmosphere. Everybody was chatting to each other. I met a ton of people that were all really nice. Also, we're here spending time here, not just this is a place to be, get a photo, take it, and then leave.
That was the
it's
most
really
social
refreshing.
fashion week event, like the most like social with people you don't know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fashion week event I think I've been to. So, if you'd call it a fashion week event,
I guess it was sort of before Fashion Week, but everybody was here. So.
That makes me so happy to hear.
Oh yeah.
That's like success
Yeah.
to us. Like that's how I would define our success, is like providing those moments, or a stage for those moments to occur. I was talking to Mark Boutillier, Mark Boutillier, and he was like, I'm sorry, like we've overstayed, like I've been here way too long. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's been so good that you're uncomfortable.
yeah, that's the influencer thing of like show up for 20 minutes,
Tag the thing in a story.
yeah, and then
whatever it
dip
ends
to
up
your
being.
next one.
Yeah.
But no, it was very welcoming.
We're glad it didn't turn out like that. I think that was like our biggest fear. I like ran point on like putting that event together, and like honestly like that just like event just like exceeded my expectations.
Drinks
by, like,
were really good too.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
I had like
Everything
5 or
was
6
good. That
drinks.
was great.
Desserts were great. Yeah.
I'm glad.
It was stellar.
You know,
Yeah, you
maybe
did
I
really
can
good.
go into event curation after
you
this,
go.
you know, like, yeah, that was like my first time putting together like a large scale event. Like me and Leah were like running that, and like it's literally just like us two putting it. It was just us two putting it together, and like I think as it's only been like a week after, but like as more time has passed, and like just like hearing like you know how you guys enjoyed it, and like seeing how like yeah like everyone stayed, which just like makes me so happy. I think because like we really wanted to like achieve that community feeling, and like we didn't even have the expectation of like achieving that like at the press party. But I think like it was so funny. We just had to like kick people out. Like at like 9, we were like, hey guys, like we kind of have to like wrap up and like open this store tomorrow. And I think that's just such a special, I think, thing to have, because I think that like there aren't a lot of events, nonetheless spaces like that. I think it's funny. I've heard a lot of people like refer to it as like a fashion week thing, because like kind of just like I think because of like how like I don't know like I think that's like the community aspect a lot of people like think Fashion Week
Sure.
is about, and I think that achieving that was, you know, kind of like, yeah, I just felt like Fashion Week. But yeah, I think I'm like so glad that like people came away from that event just feeling like they
I
could.
seriously thought no one was gonna show up.
Yeah, we were like,
genuinely,
what do we
like I
do
thought
now?
no one. Like we didn't have the budget or anywhere close to the budget to work with like a PR firm or anything like that. So we were like, well, we're just like hoping people RSVP and hope they actually show. Like
The
we
what
could've
if
had
nobody
10.
shows up to my party feeling never goes away.
And like we're like the big hosts that like had put out, and
Yeah.
we could have been like the kid in high school that just like spent a lot setting it up, and then no one shows.
Yeah.
And then
Grandpa
you're just
made
like,
10 burgers and none of his grandkids showed up.
I will say, so obviously a space like this, it does take money to start. It is a barrier But it is really refreshing, especially within fashion, to see that young people can do this. Because I think a rhetoric that is enforced within fashion is that you need to have 15 years of experience. You need to have jumped through all the hoops. You need to have worked here. You need to have written for this. You need to have done X, Y, and Z and kissed all the rings. And, you know, to even begin a space like this and to have people in here and to have connections with smaller brands or, you know, whatever it is, it's really nice. And again, it is a privilege to do it. But you've done it very well, and it is working well. And I think it's, again, very refreshing to see young people do it and succeed. I think, again, there is a lot of anti-young people doing something like this. And I'd also love to hear, is this something that you had gone to mentors about and they were like, well, should you have done X, Y, or Z first? Should you get this experience? Were there people sort of like warning you off of this before it even began?
Yeah. So we have a few like people that we trust that mentor us. And I remember the first time I brought up the idea that like this was actually starting. This idea has been around, I think, for a very long time, especially
Absolutely.
between Brandon and I. But the second we put our foot down and actually wanted to start, I took the idea, the first iteration of our pitch deck to our mentor. He had two of his like fashion like veterans there. Like these guys have been working in showrooming for a very long time. And I think the first thing they told me was, be ready to eat shit for 2.5 years. That was the first thing they said.
Yeah.
And then they said, man, you're doing specialty retail. Good luck, my friend. They shook my hand and left. Like,
Really?
they shook my hand, gave me like sort of the pat on the back and was like, another one lost. You know, like that's
Wow.
how it like sort of felt.
Yeah.
And like we kind of knew that.
Yeah.
That's why I think our expectations still continue to be not low in the sense that we're not confident in ourselves, but
Yeah.
more low because we truly have no idea what will end up happening. We just sort of try our best and hope for the best.
Yeah. I mean, there is a pattern that repeats itself. You see it in finance, you see it in even in college and whatever it is. Like, I had to do things this way, therefore you have to do it. And doing it any other way or thinking outside of the box or going in a creative direction is frowned upon. And it's cool. It's cool to see people break out of that mold.
Like, we're not anything more than like just a group of kids who, yes, we worked hard. We're just like so lucky.
Yeah.
Like so lucky. The fact that we have people around us that are willing to be here and work with us. The fact that we have a landlord who believes in our vision and is interested in cooperating with us. And every time I meet new people, I'm like, you guys like meet my landlord. He's like the angel. Like, has anyone in New York ever said that?
No,
Shout out to
I fucking
Mark.
hate my old landlord.
Yeah,
She's
no,
the worst.
you must.
I'm suing her.
But like,
I'm dead serious.
You're dead serious?
No, she's the worst. Yeah.
our landlord is like literally our guardian angel. It's like
Incredible. That's crazy.
it, and like we would be like probably like 30K deeper in a hole without him, like
Yeah.
easily. And
Yeah.
that's like money we don't even have like anywhere close to. So it's like, I don't even know what to say beyond the fact that we're just like incredibly lucky. Like, we were running out of spaces we had looked all around like the internet for a space, and like some spaces in Soho, way smaller than this, they were charging like $2,000 a day to be there.
Oh my God.
yeah.
Really? That bad?
Yeah, for short-term rent, for short-term stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so Leah and she walked down Orchard, I walked down Ludlow, and we went
Yeah.
door to door. We were
Yeah.
just like, hey, we have this project, and it just clicked here.
Yeah. I mean, you got a great spot.
Yeah, it's really beautiful.
Yeah. If you haven't checked it out, one of my favorite places in the Lower East Side is called Rawsome Treats. I take like everybody there, but it's all vegan and gluten-free desserts. It's run by like an ex-Thai kickboxer. And you walk in and it looks like it's never open, but they have very good desserts.
There's always someone in the back who comes
Yeah.
running out.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful place.
Yeah.
I went there because of Saul.
Yeah. I take everybody.
Yeah. Saul took me. I'm sort of interested. So you have a really sort of like diverse mix of brands here.
Yeah.
You have some that I'm familiar with. Jordan Arthur Smith is here. He's been on Pair of Kings before.
We
see
love
him.
Jordan.
We love Jordan.
He's so nice.
You also have Kozaburo, who is showing in a couple days. Was there like a brand here that you were like not expecting to get, or like someone you were in contact with?
Yeah.
that
Did you have a
were like-
white whale?
Yeah. Or is there one that you're still desperately trying to get?
I think again, everyone would have like a different answer here. I think the one brand we never really expected to get was probably Komune. I think like that sort of speaks for itself. It's one of the brands that has like the most noise.
Correct me if I'm wrong. They're South Korean, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. That was a brand we didn't really expect to get. But I think for myself personally, a brand that we still want. And hopefully maybe someday in the future is Professor E. Like the earliest, one of the early ideas was us asking ourselves, like Brandon and I and like some of our friends would put in group orders for Professor E because of the shipping. It's $50.
Yeah.
Like we would all get together. We'd probably order like 12 pieces like between a bunch of us, and then we basically split the shipping. And we're like, okay, so this brand is so popular. Why is it not here?
Yeah.
You know,
There's no American retailer of Professor E, is there?
there is not, no.
Common wear is also quite rare. I've seen it online and I've seen it on Instagram, but I think there's only 1 or 2 other places in New York that have it currently.
I don't believe there are any.
Oh, there are any?
Yeah.
Ah.
Well, there's
okay.
one.
There is one.
There is one. Yes. But I'm sure like Vic would have like a different answer.
Yeah.
I'd
Oh,
love to
yeah.
hear
No, I'd
everyone.
love to hear.
Yeah, I think this is tough. I think like for me, I think it would probably be Greco and Jisung Im, Gloria. Like, I think for me, like I've been following both of them for like quite a while, like maybe like a couple years or so, and like I just like really love finding like people who are like super gifted in craft and like don't really like kind of just sell like on their Instagram and
Yeah.
like don't really have like a Shopify or anything really, and like kind of just like drop things every now and then, and like throughout this like process of like finding brands, I just like would like send Martin like a ton of brands too, and like there were 2 that like ended up working out, and I was just like, I still think too, I'm like, wow, this is like so weird that it like ended up working out, because they're also just like wonderful people too, and like have like, you know, just really like fit into like our community like super well too. And I think for me that was like so special, like seeing 2 people that I just like followed on the internet, like now like I'm like meeting them and like learning about their like design journeys, and like realizing that like I know people that they know, and like I think that is probably like the most special thing for me. Yeah.
The story about you meeting the like the jeweler, was it a jeweler's or just an accessory designer, Greco's
Yeah.
like girlfriend?
Yeah.
I have a similar story in that Gloria used to be my friend's roommate,
Oh wow.
and I met her through that, and I like know that she does this leatherwork stuff on the internet. I've seen her like Instagram stories, and I've seen her talk about it. I never realized she had reached like a level of production to like have stock in a store until a week ago when I showed up here. And they're like, I didn't even realize until I was leaving, but like I saw her and I was like, oh, hi, what are you doing here? And she's like, oh, I'm selling stuff. Just like just really interesting that sort of like loops back. I don't know.
Right, yeah.
It's cool to see her like having a space now. Yeah.
I think you'd just be surprised like how many like gifted like craftspeople are out there that make like beautiful things that just aren't given a platform or a place. And that's just, I think being able to have like somebody like Gloria and Ben, I mean, their stuff is amazing, and we feel like super privileged just to have it, because they're like local like New York City people that like we love. And like we look up to, and that's what's really cool about it.
I mean, there's something to making something beautiful, and then there's another to like marketing on Instagram. And usually you can't really do both that well.
Right. It's either like one or the other. It's kind of
Exactly.
like you can pick one. Which one are you picking? And I think like something like I think about too is like I think like the concept of like emerging designer like is like on a spectrum, and I think that like a lot of the brands that we stock are like they're all emerging designers, but I think it's so cool that we have this like wide spectrum of like what emerging is, because I think that also like I think like makes people think about like what does emerging like really mean. And I think that like micro category of like, you know, artisans who like don't really have like a platform yet, who are like, you know, now being able to like get stocked in like a store, I think like that is just like so cool, because I think like that is something, you know, we're all like really interested in, like helping like, you know, like brands grow, like finding, you know, like really cool things and like sharing it with our friends, and like now we just get to share it with like 13,000 people. Like I think that's just so cool.
to see it. Yeah, that is like an interesting point. Like, emerging designer is someone who's like making stuff like to order and selling it on Instagram. And emerging designer is also like someone showing for the first time at New York Fashion Week. Like, I'm never actually sure. Sometimes I'm not sure if there's like a certain point where calling someone an emerging designer is like rude. It's like, I've been doing this for years or whatever, but
it is kind of a catch-all term at the end of the day,
Yeah.
for better or for worse.
yeah.
I think at this point I've almost defined it as like people that I think that deserve more. Like,
Underrated designer.
yeah, it's like
Underrated, yeah.
underrated is the better word. I think it's honestly just like people that I think I'm like you guys should see this. Like, how have
Yeah.
you not? And I think that's like age. I think is just so it doesn't really mean anything to me. Like, how many years? So what? People are always perfecting their craft.
Yeah.
And like, I just think it's like people that I want more people to get eyes on. Jesus,
Absolutely.
that's a mouthful.
There's a big emphasis here on community. Are there certain ways that you're going about or that you'd like to explore to continue building that community?
You wanna start, Vic?
Yeah.
Miss Events Director.
I'll kick us off. Yeah, I think with the events that we have done and like are planning to do for the month, we were like really trying to think about like how do we bring out the community like that we have online to like show up in person. And I think that we've already like had such like interesting like encounters with like different like customers. Like, I know the other day, like this couple from Virginia like drove all the way up, to come visit the store. And I was like, oh wow, like we're like not even a store, we're like a pop-up. And I think that I think like it's so cool already to see that like we haven't really done any like formal events yet. I think this Saturday is gonna be our first one, and we have like a lot coming up like throughout the weekends of September. And I think that we have tried to collaborate with like different artisans like throughout New York. I think like one brand that we've partnered with is Renew Finds. They're like a vintage furniture store in Greenpoint. We're currently sitting on their furniture. Shout out Renew Finds.
Is my folding chair Renew Finds?
Unfortunately not.
I feel shorted, if we're being honest.
But yeah, like I think like we've tried to engage like the local NYC community like in that way, trying to like just partner with them. And we're trying to engage like with our online fashion community by like hosting events like for them. Like, we hope our event this weekend, we're doing like a cookout event, we'll just like have people come to the store, just like chat with like us, but then also like we have some of our designers coming to kind of just like hang out and chill.
Yeah, awesome.
I think like we try to like gear more towards like introverted events, because I think a lot of us are like not really like the biggest club goers, and like have always also, I think another part of like the Commune ethos is like thinking like, okay, we're throwing an event, what would like an introverted fashion person really like? And we were like, oh, like just like a chill like hang, especially like during fashion week. We're like, oh god, we don't want to just be another party, like there's so many parties. And we were like, how can we engage the community in like conversations as opposed to just like what we were talking about before of like, oh, I just show up to the event, take a photo, and then like leave.
Gotta be wrapped up by official Commune bedtime as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I get that. I like that.
Like, well, it's never gonna say like 10 p.m. to late. What does that mean? Like,
Yeah.
I want to go home.
Yeah.
I want to be in
sleep to
bed
do.
by 10 p.m.
When I came I came on opening day, towards the end of the day, and it felt like the party was still going. Like, it was almost as busy here on the opening day as like the party the night before, and I thought that was really interesting to see. Like, people were still just like socializing and like looking around. And has it been like pretty steady since then? Have there been like a good amount of people coming in every day?
What are your
Definitely.
sales numbers looking like?
Yeah, I don't. Not even that. Not even like. There's my phone. Not even like sales wise, but like people have been stopping in just to like chat and to like look around and like keep that sort of community feeling alive.
I think that's what's really great about not only our location, but like the way we've structured our content. Like, before we opened, I think I was talking to Gloria about this, and I told her I think we're the first pop-up in history to hit like 10,000 followers before we ever open our doors, like
That's
as a
pretty
pop-up.
incredible.
And we'll have
Do you do that purely just off of presence or ads
Content.
or? Oh, okay.
just on content.
That's
I
amazing.
did get an ad of you talking.
Yes, how embarrassing.
Before, well, I already knew, what it was. But I like, and I'd already like talked to you about it, but then all of a sudden I knew what you looked like because I got an ad of like your face telling me to come check out Commune. So.
Failed fashion monk. Yeah, basically. Yeah, but it's like we have people who are getting ice cream across the street that look here and they're like, oh, that's cool, and they come in.
Absolutely.
People that walk in and go, oh, I think I've seen you on TikTok, or like are people on YouTube who are like, oh, I've watched your vlog, like tell me more about this, and then they're like, oh, you talked about this brand. Like, I think community to us means like it's very vast, because I think that the word is very vast. It's really just like people that can resonate with what we're doing, and we're hoping that like that can really stick.
Yeah, absolutely.
Actually, so that ice cream place, I've never been, but there's always a gigantic line. At
Is
that
it
ice cream
the
store.
like vegan soft serve one?
I
Or
don't.
the oat milk?
It's
Oat
called
milk.
whipped.
It's okay.
Yeah.
The oat milk.
It's
one.
that and the ramen shop on Orchard that have ridiculous lines.
Which ramen? The one that's like sit down dipping ramen.
I think so. It's either just up
I think
the
it's
street.
up.
It's up the
Yeah, it's
street.
like up a
Yeah,
little
you
bit.
just have to. You can't make a reservation. You just have to wait.
Wait in line.
That place goes.
It's good.
It's worth it. But
Okay.
like also go on a weekday, and like
I've seen lines there on weekdays.
built different. I don't know. Have you tried this place?
Mm-hmm.
Is it good?
I don't like ice cream, but
Okay.
it was I didn't mind it, so I think it was pretty good. Vic probably has a much.
so upset.
I just want to unpack this. You don't like ice cream at all?
No, like
Let's
I don't
unpack that.
like
Yeah, this is a moment
sweet
for pause.
things that are too sweet. I can't really do.
What about certain flavors?
Like I almost always just like get coffee if that is a flavor, and
Yeah.
if it's not coffee, it's like a dark chocolate.
Sure.
But it's one of those things. I don't.
That's like so sweet though.
Yeah, but I'm trying to say I'd never ever go out of my way to get ice cream unless like my girlfriend is nagging at me saying, "Please, can we get dessert after dinner?" Like that's literally
Okay.
the only.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay.
God, did I break your heart? Or
Oh no,
Yeah.
I love
Sorry,
ice
we
cream.
gotta- we gotta
A
stop
hot summer
this.
day, you get some ice cream.
Yeah, we gotta
It's
stop
wonderful.
the podcast like right
Yeah,
now.
but there's iced coffee. You know. Yeah, I don't know.
fair.
That sounds ridiculous. I'm like the internet's villain now.
I just, well, I mean, I am very cynical, and I don't think anything's worth waiting in line for. So I've never tried it because every time I'm there, there's a line. and I'm
I've also
like,
never
Yeah.
tried it. I really hate waiting in line. I'm like very anti-line. I see a line and I'm like, oh no, I'm leaving.
Yeah, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Again, the Rossum Treats place, they're not that sweet. They don't use a lot of sugar.
Yeah, no, but
no line.
they're that real like healthy.
And there's not a line.
Yeah, and there's not a line.
Yeah.
I've never actually been. There's never been anyone besides us. in
Yeah,
there.
because it always looks closed. It's a whole thing.
Shout out Rossum Treats. Keep that place alive.
Dude, I love Rossum Treats.
If you plug it too hard, there's gonna be a line.
That's true. Yeah.
The best part about whipped though is like after you eat the ice cream that you don't feel like shit because there's no dairy in it.
Oh no, I like that feeling.
You like that?
Yeah, I just need to know. I need to be punished. You know.
The consequences.
Yeah.
I kind of agree. Like I'm like lactose intolerant, but like I don't like vegan ice cream. I think it tastes
Lactate exists.
really weird.
There's like a very easy
Lactate
solution
is
to
for
this.
quitters.
Yeah.
It's anti-Semitic of you to say that.
Finally.
Yeah.
Getting canceled.
I did have a question about a lot of the brands in here. So, again, there are things that we've talked about. There's Commune, there's Jordan Arthur Smith. How did you go about picking? How did you go about curating which pieces you wanted? And then how did you go about laying out the store in general?
It's a loaded question.
We try to ask some good ones after talking about ice cream.
Picking the brands. Picking the brands was like we came into at the beginning when we were starting outreach, we had over 200 brands on like an Excel spreadsheet of brands that we were interested. We were like, okay, we kind of like what's going on here for the most part of these 200. Like we kind of liked what was going on, and we wanted to see if it was possible. Like at the beginning, it wasn't even about like who we really wanted, but who like wanted us almost.
Yeah.
Like no reputation, nothing. Like trying to do like a business model that isn't always the most attractive for the brands. It's like who can we actually get? Eventually, when we narrowed it down, I think we just narrowed it down to like a list of probably like 30, and then we just started cold emailing. Obviously, we like all the brands that are in here, but I also like think it's important to say that like these are all brands that have taken a chance on us.
Yeah,
too.
but again, and why I ask is it seems very cohesive. It doesn't seem like it's a group of brands that's like, we just got what we could get and then we put them all together and it's like, okay, here's this here, and then it immediately clashes. It flows quite well. If you told me that this wall right behind Michael and you, it was one designer, I'd be like, oh, okay, I guess I could sort of see it. Not exactly, but like it does feel very cohesive.
Everything here can sort of be joined into like
Exactly.
a cohesive outfit. So there's yeah. Is that just like because that's the sort of clothing that you guys are into, I guess?
It probably just happened subconsciously, right, guys? Like it's just like
Yeah.
we just liked it enough to want to have it in the store. And I mean, I don't know. Brandon is the only one out of almost all of us that wears color. So I think like the
That's how
rest
I
of
feel.
us.
That's how I
You're,
feel
like,
hanging out with
single
Michael.
No. This is like no. This is like the
like army green
he
He's
wears
taking
white.
chances. Let's
guys.
It's a different one.
Chill out, all right? Let's settle down on the color there.
Like
Yeah,
Vic
no.
is like all black.
Hey,
closet.
Brandon,
like it is
we've got to have a
void.
talk back in the office. We weren't briefed about the blue shirt today. We're going to have to ask you to change.
A pretty distinctly anti-blue company.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Saul is always the one at the parties who's like,
I show up to these fashion week parties. I feel so weird. I'm in like white shirt and blue jeans. I'm like, did I miss a memo that was like, please wear black and only black?
I'll wear some bright colors next time we go to something.
What do you own that's in a bright color other than your like fishing shirt? And I mean, you have like red and white.
I have a
Those are
bright
colors.
yellow Rick shirt.
Okay, anything that's not Rick Owens?
What kind of? Now you're moving the goalpost. Your whole thing is like, oh, it's always black Rick Owens, but there's a bunch of colors.
That's fair. All right.
You'll pay for that. Sorry, we derailed.
I think like yeah, it was just a combination of like all of our tastes, and then
Yeah.
I mean Brandon could probably like talk your ears off about like the way we designed the space, and that like really came together like the very last minute. The lounge space we're sitting in right now, that was supposed to be at the back, and then we're like, holy shit, that's not gonna work. How can we build community if it's like we're hiding at the back?
Yeah.
It was months and months of thinking that went into that.
I'd love to talk because some of the like art objects in here are incredible. Brendan and I were talking about, and I guess you can't see it in the video, but there's a huge denim wolf dog
Oh yeah.
hanging on the wall. I don't know how else to describe it. It's sort of the best way you
Yo,
can.
they got the Jolf.
The Joel.
Joel,
Yeah.
that's so real.
I was actually curious because there's like different setups at each.
Yeah.
And I know that Jordan brought this sculpture. Are the other like art pieces sort of advised by the brand themselves, or is it like you guys sort of like deciding what goes where?
It's always been like a dream of ours to give you like as a guest that comes into our space more than just like the clothing.
Sure.
And for the person that's doesn't want to engage with an associate, they're gonna like learn so much just by looking.
Yeah.
Just by, as I was saying, like I think very visually. So when I come into a space and I see what's surrounding the clothing, I know like what the clothing is representing, and to us, it's like the story behind the clothing that we fall in love with and the kind of universe that it builds. So it's like, how could we bring in kind of like a lookbook, a shoot that a brand would do, but in the space physically. Some brands, so I sent out like a whole doc to some brands about like, tell me a bit about your ethos, tell me a bit about like what you're trying to do here, what inspires you, what you would like to see next to your clothing. So some brands like Jordan brought in some stuff for them, Animus brought in some stuff that we had to set up, and then for most other brands, Kozaburo brought the wolf, the Jolf.
The Joel.
And the little amoeba spike ball thing up there.
Oh yeah, so that's Wenjulu. Shout out to Wenjulu. I feel like they align with us deeply in like our mission. So they kind of blend in with the white throughout the store. That's how we've tried to work with them, because I think they do some really special stuff that's similar to us. But as you see, like the store is like black and white. The white is kind of the base, and the black more so like the pipes. It directs like your eye to where you're supposed to look. When you see like the jewelry, there's a black base there. You're like, you're supposed to look there. It's like this nice backdrop for the brands to express a top on. But like for other brands, like we went to flea markets.
Yeah.
Like if you see, there's just a battered MacBook back there.
Did you do
didn't
that, or
work.
was it already battered?
We-
Okay,
we-
yeah. And the phones?
The phones too, yeah.
Tight.
The cinder blocks like we got from a back alley, like these metal pieces, like our landlord had around the corner. We're like, let's use that. And then like the day before the party, I was like making these flower arrangements for Nibnus. Those rocks down below, Martin found in an alley as well.
That's a good find. That's a good rock find.
Yeah.
It's a really
Pretty
good
good rock collection.
Great stone.
Yeah.
But yeah, the moss, the TVs, the
Oh, yeah.
TVs are from another flea market, like the MacBook. But it was basically, if they couldn't provide anything, we were gonna do the best we can
Yeah.
to bring it alive. Like that's like our job and like our role to these brands is to like do them justice. And I think a lot, like when I see people post pictures of just like not even the clothes, just like the stuff above Commonwear, I'm like, okay, that connected. Like
You're
that,
trying to be like the third and fourth picture in the Instagram reel where like, or in the carousel where one of them's of the clothes and the other one's like the aesthetic one of like,
The really zoomed in sort of detail shot.
No, like I was at the flea market, like talking to this Chinese lady who sells like old phones, and like that's her thing.
okay.
And she was like, "Why do you want broken ones?" I'm like, "I want the broken ones, like only broken ones, please." Like she was so confused. She was like, "I want these iPhones, but they have to be broken." And she's like, "But they work. That's like how that's what I want." Like I basically sell old working phones. I'm like, no, like give me the broken ones, like the ones that are smashed.
She's like, you're fucking with my reputation. Like, yeah, that lady has great broken phones. Like everything she owns is just destroyed.
You're like, damn it, I'll break them myself.
No, yeah, I mean we came back and we broke them a little more.
Okay, but she did have some. She just was.
She did have
like
some, yeah,
hesitant. to-
very hesitant.
Okay.
It's like questioning your intent.
It just
Yeah.
didn't really make any sense to her.
Yeah.
Which obviously,
get that.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. Tell her it's for art.
Yeah, no, we didn't even say that. I just said
Yeah.
I'd like them. Yeah, just like broken phones.
So a lot of your team is either in school or coming out of school. Are you, because Vic, are you in school?
I am like doing one more semester, and then I'm actually applying to grad school right now.
Oh,
so
good luck.
Thank you. More
Nice.
school in my future. But I think, yeah, it's kind of like an assortment for everyone. I think Martin and Brandon can speak for themselves, but I think like most other people are the majority is still in school, I would
Yeah.
say. Yeah.
Are all of you or part of all of you studying fashion adjacent things, or is it just is this a hobby that you've sort of picked up and you're applying skills that you've built maybe outside of school to it?
Well, for me, I'm like the weird one on the team. I studied like I'm an academic, so I do like cultural anthropology
Nice.
and more like economics kind of stuff. I kind of like did fashion throughout college, like just like I go to NYU, and like NYU has like some like fashion theory classes, and like I've taken like some of those, and like but yeah, my like academic interests are like completely different than like what I've like done like professionally, and just like, well, obviously Commune. So yeah, but most of the team is like business, I would actually say. Yeah.
There's not a single person on our team that studies fashion, I think, which I talked about earlier, like how like the YouTube videos are where we learned. Like that's really
absolutely.
where it all was. I come from like a art history and like a business like background. I honestly like am so happy I didn't study fashion in college. I think
Same.
like I think Vic's really happy about that too. Like a lot of our content, like we want to be more analytical.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think like that background is super helpful. And I don't know, fashion is weird. Like studying fashion is weird. I don't think I'd be able to do it. Yeah.
The closest that we got was that in high school, after my like reselling of sneakers and reselling of Jordans, I then made like my screen printing T-shirt business where I made a logo and I just slapped it on some comfort colors from Custom Ink.
Mm-hmm.
And then Martin and I and a friend of ours, Miles, we started like our own cut and sew brand. And I think that's where we found out that it's like, oh, this takes so much more. We are
was it
not
called?
designers. It had multiple names. One of them was Salmon. My dad always just called it, how's salmon going?
Nice.
And then we changed it to Liaisette, which was just like, how can we sound fancy and like official? And And
French.
then now
French,
yeah.
French, yeah. And now we're Commune, and my dad calls it Commune.
Cool. All
The-
right.
like
the
the-
tutor
Oh my God.
company.
Yeah.
I didn't
yeah.
even realize that it sounds like Kuman.
Yeah.
I've heard Commune, like
Commune.
Ramune.
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay.
So people think we're like a Japanese company.
So we did like the cutting of clothes, and like we made T-shirts, and we had like samples made for jackets and muslin. But I think the most exciting part was our like senior symposium at the end of our senior year. We made a space to present the clothes, and that was more fun than even making the clothes for us. And like this is like that scaled, you know.
Basically.
I think
That's
like,
awesome.
we're like all nerds, and I think even though we don't like formally study fashion, I think like Martin and I have had like a lot of conversations just about like fashion, like I think specifically like fashion at like universities, like even though like NYU isn't like a fashion university, there are like fashion communities within them, and I think that like we've like found ourselves to kind of like be on like the outs of it. I think because like we just have such a different approach to like what we want fashion to be. Like I think kind of like what we were talking about earlier in the pod of like we don't really want to just like be what's already there in
Yeah,
fashion.
absolutely.
And I think that like being from such like wildly different backgrounds has just allowed us kind of like that edge to like look into an industry that like we are a part of, but also like not really a part of, because I think the different backgrounds, like I know for me, like I feel like confused half the time. I'm like, what am I doing here? But also like I'm here. And I think that it's just given way to such like really interesting ideas like Commune, but like also like I think especially when we think about like content for like what we want to do for YouTube, like I think like something that like we want to do in the future is thinking about like a care guide of like, you know, how do we care for like our clothing, and like highlighting like certain like cobblers and like dry cleaners and like menders like in the city, and like really like getting to know these people and like sharing, you know, kind of like this list of resources of like not just where to shop, but like where to like take your clothes, because I think that like we just like think about like how like what is fashion like in our everyday lives, not just like what is fashion like on the runway or like in the media. And I think that taking that approach has really like informed like what Commune is, but also like just like our, you know, just like our love for fashion and clothing.
Yeah, earlier when you asked us like what like a long-term idea could be, like I have this like pipe dream of like our media having like its own dedicated website, and on that website like a place where you could get like the guide of being like the guide to being interested in fashion in New York City. And that like Vic said, with like everything from like dry cleaners to cobblers to stores to like anything fashion adjacent, we'd be able to provide that resource.
The only problem with that is you'd have to release a new one every like 6 months.
That's probably yeah.
Maybe not with dry cleaners and cobblers, but like stores, even tailors sometimes. Like I've had favorite tailors that just like disappear. It's like, oh, all right. I think I might have had something there. Like,
I like the idea of like, you know, cobblers and tailors and all that, because
Yeah.
it sort of leads into that like forever clothing type thing. Like, you know, you're not supposed to keep like rotating your wardrobe out. You're supposed to build, and then when something breaks, you fix it, and it's better than like, you know, going out and buying a new thing. I appreciate that a lot.
I think especially, and Michael and I have spoken about this, but currently within fashion, there is a huge culture of just use it a couple of times, throw it away, or use it a couple of times and donate it when it degrades. And I love people really taking care of their clothes, or even if it's as stupid as somebody, and maybe it's not, you know, it's not stupid, but seemingly is like, how do I wash this the right way, right? Like there's a dry cleaner on TikTok that's like, actually you can machine wash most of your clothes.
Yo, dry cleaning is a scam invented by Big Laundry.
Big laundry. That's the
And
first
I
time
will
I've heard.
hand wash
Big launch.
nearly anything.
Yeah, but again, I think it is, and I, you know, if you're spending money on clothes and you're in fashion and you're, I guess, creating an emotional attachment to what you wear, you do want to take care of it, and you do want it to last, and you do, again, want to maintain it. And I think there is I mean, as somebody who's been in fashion since I was like 16 or 17, there are things that I've like destroyed in the wash just because I was like, oh yeah, you can put in bleach, right? Like it's white, right? But you do really want to take care of things. And I think that that's a really great idea, especially for younger people in the space.
I think a lot of people might think that's like sensationalized and too much, but like even everybody has a favorite t-shirt.
Oh yeah,
Like
absolutely.
everybody has their favorite, like you put it on and you feel better in it because of some memory that it's tied to or just the way it like feels on your body. But like everybody has a favorite t-shirt.
I think it's so funny that like a dry cleaner like was like, it's a scam, guys. Like just wash your own clothes, because like it's like so real. And I think that this makes me think of like I had a class like last semester. It was like a senior seminar, and it was with my thesis advisor, and she's kind of like a fashion like labor and like fashion like theory scholar. And like for our final project, we were actually doing this like fashion like mending lab, and it was like this project that she had for like the last like 5 to 10 years, and like would do it in like all the classes like she had. And like it started out of NYU Florence. So apparently like a few custodians like at the site, they were like, hey, like we have an excess of like study abroad clothing from like people who would just like move out and just leave their clothing there. And
That's
just
how
like
Bodhi started, actually.
well, look at that tie-in. That's so funny. But like they just like wouldn't know like what to do with
Yeah.
all of that clothing. And like they a few of the students actually like from the site contacted my professor. Her name is Jessamine Hatcher, and like they were like, hey, like we know you work with like fashion textiles and like you know how to like sew and etc. Like can you help us like get rid of this clothing? And like so she came there, and like she like worked with the students and other like local professors and like Italian students in Florence, and like they basically like took the clothing and like created like new clothing and like just like upcycled the garments. And like we did that in this class, and like it was so funny like having a lot of people who were like in this class because they were like, I'm interested in fashion, and everyone was like, wait, like you're asking me to sew? And like everyone was like like myself included, because like I like don't really have that much experience with like physical garment making. Like my mom taught me how to sew maybe when I was like a kid, and like I do like very basic like stitching, but like I don't know how to like upcycle a garment, like gun to my head, like I can't do that. Like I just can't. And like it was so interesting like like doing that project and like seeing how like few people really know how to like take care of their clothes. And like that was kind of like an inspiration for like why we want to do this like care guide of like like, oh my god, like wow, like these kinds of things could be so impactful for like everyone. Yeah.
When I was in Copenhagen, there's a museum called Contemporary Copenhagen, but they had multiple exhibitions, huge rooms, like colossal. It's in an old warehouse. And one of the rooms was a showcase of, I think it was not necessarily fashion students, but fashion related items. And the most popular area of the entire museum while I was there was an area that one of the people had set up, and it had laminated instructions and basically anything you could want for mending or like creating a patch. It was like, sit here for as long as you want. You can fuck around, there's no pressure, but you can fix your clothes, you can make a patch, you can sew something on. If you want to leave something behind, that's fine. Just do what you will. And it was packed. There were, the museum's huge, but there were, I think, 16 seats, and I had to wait to get one of the seats. I thought it was really cool. I think that young people are really interested in learning that. It is very tactile. It is something personal, but yeah, I think it's
so
something
cool.
people
So
learn.
cool.
Yo, Vic, take a note.
Yeah, do we have to go to Copenhagen? Is that like our next team like bonding?
The museum
Next
was
vlog.
really cool.
That's so
the
cool.
Commune mending event.
Yeah.
Bring your broken stuff and learn how to fix it.
There was also a really cool sustainable construction material exhibition, which was crazy as like a environmental nerd. I don't know. If you go to Copenhagen, I don't know if it'd still be up, but go to Contemporary Copenhagen.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's sweet. We wanted to do, but I think couldn't figure out the logistics, but like a sashiko mending kind of class here in the space. But that's just like another one that we thought would work out, but
Yeah.
in the future.
You should.
That's cool. No, you're good.
Okay.
I'm just vibing.
Should we start wrapping up? I can't see the time.
Yeah, we're about hour 14. How long do these usually last? Anywhere between an hour and a half is usually where we max out, but we've still got a little time ahead of us.
I have one more question. I just didn't want to like look down and it had been 2 hours and I'm like, oh fuck.
We're doing great actually. We're timing really well here.
Awesome. So obviously you all work here. Do you have favorite pieces or items in the store?
What?
That's the hard question.
I think it's pretty hard because
Okay.
like
Not that
I
this
don't know.
suggests that you like. You
God, the
pick
stuff
I'm
in
not
here is
playing favorites
terrible.
here.
Yeah, like not like
We hate
favorites,
everything.
but like what's the thing that I mean, clearly there's stuff that you wear, but what's the thing
Yeah.
that you're like, this is the thing that I want to recommend to everyone?
So like the cop out answer, but it's so true, is that like one of these pieces will become my new favorite the day of, just because of that person that tries it on and like how it just connects with them and how it works on them. I'm like, I never saw that working that way. You fucking killed it. But my favorite is gonna be from Black Merle. They just create like, there's been all this elevated basic stuff like for a little bit for a while now, but what Black Merle has created is like they've made a hoodie that I feel like I could like see my girlfriend's parents in, you know, and like that I could like be presentable in.
Yeah.
And then also like this collarless jacket that all my friends that aren't into fashion, I'm like, this is for you. This is like your next step. Is like it's like this great segue piece into, oh, it goes like further than that, but it works for me right now. I think the ones that fascinate me the most are the ones that can like,
You need bridge pieces.
like the bridge piece. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big like
The
it's hard-
gateway drug of
the-
fashion.
It's the
Yeah.
converter. It's the
really
converter
hard to
pieces.
get into fashion because it's expensive and you have to buy like, if you want to commit fully, you have to buy like thousands of dollars of bullshit at
Yeah.
once, or you find something that you can like blend your way up.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I think Black Merle has done so well. Yeah.
Nice.
And you guys were talking about that as one of your like your
Best
better
sellers.
selling items, or you're like more people are coming in and looking at that one.
I think it's just because it speaks to people.
Yeah.
Like there's like Jordan will always be special, but not everyone is gonna walk onto that rack and feel like welcome.
Oh,
Do
for
you know what I
sure.
mean?
Yeah.
It takes some time easing in, and even
like-
for me, I thought it was like I've tried on so many things at this point. Like what could make me uncomfortable? And one, I'm wearing like one of Jordan's long sleeves with the hole on the back, and I walked outside and I'm like, ugh. I've never felt that breeze on my back like that ever
Physically
before. You know what I mean? Like that's like something I've literally never felt before.
Yeah.
Like specifically, it's just that one hole. So like it just feels all the air is concentrated.
Welcome
Yeah.
to women's wear.
I
There's
guess.
holes everywhere.
I spent all of this today walking around in Jordan's like what is it, organza cotton pants that are essentially not like you can see my underwear and socks and everything through them.
Supreme underwear.
You can see my Supreme underwear. And
Do you actually wear them?
He loves Supreme underwear.
Oh, we're getting shown. Yeah, we got shown on camera.
I
All
don't
right.
fuck around. Good underwear. No, I felt like it's rare for me, but I felt almost uncomfortable for the first like hour of the day, just like in the amount of like weirdness I felt. But then by the end of the day, I felt incredible. I like
You
don't
have to
wanna
do like
take
the
those pants
princess
off.
leaving the castle up and down stairs. Though
I
you
did,
have
yeah,
to.
because I was really worried about
Yeah.
fucking up that.
And then I
organza,
stepped on 'em.
and then you fucked it up. But yeah, no, I felt real powerful for like the entire day and that stuff.
Yeah.
That's the thing. When I tried on like a whole Jordan fit, I looked in the mirror and I was like, who am I? And like, who could I be?
Yeah.
I felt incredible.
That's where the just try it on tag is, isn't it?
That's why
Just try it on.
we wrote that, because I'm like, you need to feel this. If you're not buying it, like you need to feel this at least once. Vic, what's your favorite?
I think like I have to say an accessory. Also like switching it up. I think
Nice.
like the accessories are probably like my favorite in this space. I think I'm not really like a big accessory girl actually, but I think my favorite is Greco's combat bag. It has like I think like just like every single detail of this bag is just like so stunning. I think one I really love that it's like super ergonomic. Like you could just put like everything and anything in it. Like I love having a functional bag, and I think that like there's like pen holder, there's like card holders, there's like a case for your AirPods. Like I never
Yeah,
thought
spot
about
for
that.
AirPods,
Like
a spot for your cigarettes, and then a spot for your lighter.
right, yeah,
And
and like
so many little pockets.
If you don't
Yeah, yeah,
smoke, you can
chapstick.
put Yu-Gi-Oh cards in it though.
Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
yeah,
and the
exactly.
chapstick,
See,
yeah.
it's something for everyone, and like the strap, I think also functions as like what, like a self-defense strap.
Yeah, it's
I was
supposed to
like,
be like heavy
this
enough.
is like perfect.
That's
Like
crazy.
I'm gonna have a look at that after this.
Yeah, you should. They have like it in a. There's a trend.
Just
with
walk
it.
over and get it. I
I
mean,
can
we're
do it
doing
right
video.
now.
You can show.
Go
Oh,
get
yeah,
it,
we
Brandon.
can
All
just,
right, go get it. Go on.
It's like a.
We'll
There's
just-
like a translucent
no one
horse leather
listening
version.
to this is gonna be like, yes.
Well, I mean, the video comes out a week after. Just go and
true.
that's
Just
true.
look at it. Look at that
so cool.
beauty.
And we're back.
we're
Again.
back. Oh my god. So we should probably start wrapping up. We can do song of the week. It's gonna be a lot of songs to add, but we do a segment called Song of the Week.
Wait.
Huh. Oh, good catch. Discord codes. We also have a Discord, which we have lovingly named the happiest place in fashion. We ask all of our guests to give us a keyword or a phrase, something of the sort, that people should message us on Instagram at Pair of Kings Pod if they'd like to join the Discord. Would one of you give us a word, a phrase, a photo, an emoji, whatever it is, to send us if they'd like to join?
Please help me. I was gonna say something like "go fuck yourself," and then you said like the nicest place on the like.
That's fine. Yeah, well, but the problem is that we can't separate that from all the other "go fuck yourself" messages.
That's
that
true.
we get.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
Okay?
true. Yeah.
Gotta be more specific, Martin.
Probably then it would be communist, but with a K.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
easy.
Yeah.
There you go. Message us communists if you'd like to join the Pair of
With a
Kings
K.
Discord.
Yeah.
So back to song of the week. Something that you've been listening to, something that you're enjoying. Doesn't have to be anything crazy. We add it to a playlist called Pair of Kings. The G is a 9.
Pair of canines.
Pair of Canines. That's on Spotify only because I don't believe in Apple Music.
We don't
Oh.
either.
Yeah.
Michael, would you like to lead us off?
Oh yeah. 1 second. I've been on that. I've been on that fake country shit. That sad cowboy stuff.
Fake country?
Zach Bryan, East Side of Sorrow.
Wait, was Zach Bryan the dude with the on the plane at the beach? Do you remember? There were planes with banner ads at the beach.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, they were advertising. We were at the beach and they were they were flying by with like.
Yeah.
They still do that apparently, where they like drag a flag behind it.
Yeah, there was an
really?
anti-abortion one, a waxing one, and a Zach Bryan one.
What
You
beach
know.
were you guys at?
Just on Long Island? I don't know what it was called. I got a sinus infection there. Beach is crazy.
God.
Beach
No,
is
I'm dead
crazy.
serious. Yeah.
I'm still bruised from the waves.
Oh my God, what kind of beach is that?
It was so tight. But yeah, Zach Bryan.
Michael forgot his roll of pennies, so he tossed around.
Couldn't
Zach
find
Bryan,
Wait.
East Side of Sorrow. He's good. I'm back on my country shit.
Nice. Martin?
I'm going through like a bit of like a Radiohead phase. Like I had it in high school. I'm like doing it again.
Okay.
I think I can't stop right now. It's like, is it called end of movie? Like
Movie.
end. What is it called? Man, I'm so bad.
No, movie script ending is a Death Cab for Cutie song.
You're talking to the wrong guy.
Exit music. Yeah.
Oh.
For a
Exit
film.
music for a film.
Okay.
Yeah. I've
Cool.
been listening.
Good
to
ass
that.
song.
Nice.
Only by Sampha.
Okay.
Quick.
Easy.
Think Wish by Blood Orange right now.
Nice.
It's on our Commune playlist too. Been listening to the Commune playlist on repeat. Yeah.
Tight. There's a Commune playlist. Is
There's-
it on Spotify?
We have 4.
4.
Like we do it like by time of the day. So our 11 to
Okay.
1 is like more like ambient, and then our afternoon is more like UK garagey, and then our like late afternoon is like ambient plus UK garage. That's kind of
Okay.
yeah.
Nice.
Cool.
And then yes, after hours.
It's all death metal.
No, it's just for the team. It's just fun songs. You know?
It's Christmas music. They're like trying to drive people out of the store. I'm trying to think. I usually have my phone or my computer in front of me, so I'm able to like actually look at what I've been listening to. I will add. I will add "Leather Forever" by Miss Kitten and the Hacker. It's my
Whoa.
favorite house song, and it's the one that I'll listen to if I'm ever like doing work. I'll just put it on loop infinitely. It's a great song.
Yeah.
Is that like Chicago house? Like what kind of house? I don't.
I don't know the subsection. No, in the middle of the street. But it's a great song. I really do.
Cool.
really
I
do
gotta
enjoy
go
it.
check that out.
Yeah. Before we get out of here, take the floor again. Remind people where we are, where you will be Shout anything out, give love, whatever it is, before we take it down.
This is Brandon's job, apparently.
Yeah, it's my job now. So once again, we're Commune. You can find us on Instagram at commune.space. Our name is Commune, not Commune Space.
Had to specify.
We just can't purchase the handle.
Are they not selling it to you, or you just can't get in contact?
We've gotten in
It's
contact.
so much drama.
But it's
Well, I kind of want to hear about this now.
Okay, it's
we don't have to
actually.
stop immediately.
Well, I'm not trying to plug the other Commune, but they're a resort in Ibiza.
Oh.
Wait, where are they?
No,
They're
in, like,
resort in Australia, that
Australia.
like went bankrupt, and so we were like, hey, like we don't need your. They have like 30K followers. Like we don't need your followers. Like we just want to do like an account transfer essentially.
Yeah.
And they're like, nah, we're reopening, and we want to keep our like. But they're like their official name is like Commune Resorts. So we're like, why don't you just take that? Like let us be Commune.
Did you get Commune Resorts and like hold it away from them?
That's actually a good.
Oh, that's a good leverage
I'm
strategy.
giving away free
actually.
gaming
yeah,
here.
no, that is actually.
No,
we
but like
should-
they
we should
hit
be
us
doing
with
that.
like we own the international rights to Commune, and we were like, oh my god, like it's like a legal battle. Like
Yeah, it was
it's
real weird.
intense. Yeah.
But we're Commune. You can find us for the month of September at 92 Orchard Street in the Lower East Side of New York City. I hope you come by. I hope you come in. We're ready for you.
So ominous.
Thank you so much for, I should say, having us in the space. It's been really great and wonderful getting to know you all a little bit more and getting to know the space. I am one of the two hosts of Pair of Kings, Saul Thompson. You can find me on Instagram at Saul Thompson. I'm joined this week not only by my wonderful co-host.
I'm Michael Smith. You can find me on Instagram at @commune.
You guys are going to have to do your Instagram handles again because it was an hour and a half ago and I don't remember them all. I know you're Childish Brandino because it's really good. Are you Sincerely VM?
Yes, I am.
I don't remember yours.
Nerf.
Yes. Nerf Martin.
Nerf Martin. There it is.
Memorable, guys.
Thank you so much to everybody for listening, for watching, for joining us this week on the Pair of Kings podcast. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube at Pair of Kings Pod. I guess YouTube is Pair of Kings Podcast. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. I'm also now remembering that people can see me closing my eyes and like trying to remember all of this.
You do the
But
Classic.
don't forget to join the Discord, message us on Instagram to join. And thank you again to everybody for listening and watching. This has been the Pair of Kings podcast, where once a week, every week for the foreseeable future, we are bringing you business as usual, tomfoolery as planned. We hope you have a great Thursday if you're listening and a Saturday if you're watching. Bye, everyone. I've been doing it for 3 years. I still don't have it down pat. Yeah.
I was walking down the street, concentrating on trucking right. I heard a dark voice beside of me, and I looked round in a state of fright. I saw 4 faces, one man, a brother from the gutter.